meeting. All right, for the record, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Finance scheduled for Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. We have three members of the Board of Finance present for the meeting, which falls short of our quorum. Two members did notify us they were not going to be able to attend. I was hoping that our fourth member would reach out to us and let us know whether or not he was running late. So what I'd like to do is just give this a few more minutes. And if by 5:10 we don't have our quorum, then I'll adjourn this meeting. I know, really. No proxies, no stand-ins.
How are you?
And there's our quorum. Good. All right, we're recording again, back on. All right, so we do have our quorum present and attending in person. I have Deb Iannacido, Lorraine Pesky, and James Wright, and participating via Zoom, I have Christopher Anderson. Now the time is 5:08 p.m. Before we begin the meeting, could we please stand and pledge the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll jump right into the agenda. Item number 1 on the agenda is to open the meeting to the public. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wright, seconded by Mr. Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the only member of the public is actually staff. Anything you want to mention as a public? No? All right. Moving on to item 2, I'll entertain a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from July 18th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Pesky. Questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2B, I'll entertain a motion to accept the special joint meeting minutes with the council from August 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Seconded by Ms. Iannacido. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. I'll call the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
All right. And for the record, 1 abstention would be Mr. Wright. Item 3. This is just a discussion, doesn't require a vote. Robin Stanziali is on the line via Zoom. What I have is the paper copies of the audit, financial statements, and the single audit reports, and the management findings letter. I guess, is that what I call it, Robin? Management letter?
Yes.
What we usually do is we usually invite the auditors, in this case, CLA, to a meeting of the Board of Finance. We wanted this year to be able to do that as a joint meeting with the City Council as well, just so that when the auditor is presenting the information, any decisions that are made after review of the audit can be made by Board of Finance and or City Council, or any decisions or information that comes out of it that may inform our budget process as we begin to think about next year's budget process. It's an opportunity for that discussion to take place. So I don't know, Robin, if there was anything else that you wanted to mention about the audit?
No, I would let them come in and do their presentation.
Good. All right. So we will work with CLA and get them in as soon as possible. Electronic copies were sent out to the boards. Heather, did Board of Education also receive an electronic version? Please do. Yeah. So Board of Education, City Council, Board of Finance are the boards that do get these audit reports. And I guess we'll leave it at that. These reports are always a lot to read and digest. So unless there are questions or anything that you wish to see or hear or have included in the presentation, I'll move into item 4 on the agenda, which is business by the department heads. I'll take a motion to consider business presented by department heads. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Robin. Any updates, discussion?
I'm not really sure where I would start.
Hmm.
I know you wanted to talk a little bit about staffing and where we're
Yes.
at.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So we're just, we're short-staffed and we're trying to make some, change. We're trying to get some people to come back in to help. And so we're down in accounts payable, deputy comptroller, and we're losing purchasing assistant to go to the senior center. So with everything that we have going on, audits starting, still trying to close out the year. There's just been, we've had a lot of speed bumps. So we're bringing in, Alice is actually going to come back and help us out part-time a few days a week. And then we have a prior employee that's moving back to town that will join us in a few weeks. And then currently our accounts payable, our former accounts payable person, Michelle, she's coming in when she has, on Fridays, when she's not working. So we're just trying to fill in the holes and to try and keep things moving, but we're at a very slow pace at this point. So all jobs are posted and we're receiving interest. So we'll hopefully get to review those in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we can interview some people and start bringing some people in.
Well said. So as Robin suggested or indicated, the postings are all on the city's website. There are a number of openings, but they'll also, you'll recall, in our budget adoption, a new position. This department has historically been understaffed. Alice had always carried, a budget line item to bring in additional staff, and yet we never did that. So we lose significant institutional knowledge with the retirements and then turnover of staff as a result of other opportunities within the city. And we really have pretty much experienced a stripped down finance department, which, as you can see in the audit reports, has a significant impact on our ability to do business day to day. So we keep our fingers crossed. Alice met with Robin and, met with me last week. We spoke again over the weekend. She will be coming in 3 days a week to help us. And we were going to focus on those project-based assistance, such as the audit report, grant reporting. There are a significant number of grant funds that are really important to be reporting on as we're mandated to do, and reestablishing the auditor's chain of command, not chain of command, but line of communications. So work to do, but dare I say light at the end of the tunnel with all of these changes. And these two, bringing Alice back and the potential of this other former employee who's returning to Connecticut, I think will give us at least some of that institutional knowledge we need to right the ship a little bit.
Is the former employee coming back on a permanent basis?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
that would be the
okay.
plan. Yes. Yeah. Chris Anderson, question.
Yeah, very grateful to Alice for coming back and lending a hand. We know she's done more than her share over the years. Would this be a good time to revisit the annual request for a look or a hard look at shared services with the Board of Ed and some of our other departments?
I mean, it's always an open door for communications. I know that with a new superintendent and a fairly new business director, I think it's always tough to initiate those conversations when there's so much, for the lack of a better word, green staff. But I certainly can bring it up at our next meeting with the superintendent to see if there's any appetite for this. As you know, as the board knows, with the new school, the middle school and high school and central office buildings, I know that the design of maintaining their separate business office was very much a part of that design. So I think this would be probably a protracted discussion with them, but I'm willing to put it out there and see if there's any interest.
Understood, and I would appreciate that. I know this is going to be a very long sell, but I do think that the city and the Board of Ed are leaving a lot of money on the table by choosing not to take advantage of some of the efficiencies we could have by working better together.
I agree. Yes. Any other suggestions, thoughts? Okay. All right. So we'll work with CLA to bring them in and review the audit findings. I think that as you read through this, you'll find the numbers are good. The numbers are very good. It's just processes that usually hang us up on anything. And those are the things that we'll work on. And primarily you'll see any of those items that are identified as an opportunity to develop policy or establish better practices and policies to meet the current needs or changes. Some of the changes actually occurred by, the state creating these portals for us to be able to report through, and once you're reporting through an electronic portal, you lose that, that second review before somebody hits send. So some of those require a little bit of out-of-box thinking as to how do we create that report that's going to be submitted through the portal, have that second set of eyes looking at it before we hit send. I hope I've explained that appropriately, Robin. Does that sound? Yeah. So those are some of the things that you'll see coming out of this report. Also, Robin and I both identified a couple of really good opportunities to develop policy that we will work on and bring back to this board so that you have an opportunity to weigh in on those as well. All right. If there are no further questions on the audit or the business by department heads, I'm sorry, we're still in business by department heads. Dan, do you want to add anything from the treasurer's office? Your new staff? Yes. The only reason, yeah, did you hear Dan? He knows you have an appointment and that you got to sign off. Has a
Oh, yeah, I was actually gonna come on and say, I think his mic is muted.
Yeah, he's
I
way
didn't
far
hear
away from it.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do,
So-
I do.
Yeah, and we know you have to sign off. She has a, it's school,
Open
parent
house,
teacher
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're going to lose you in a second. So go ahead and sign off and we'll catch up with you at the next meeting with Board of Finance.
okay, all right. Good night, thank
Um,
you.
Good night. Thank
Thanks.
you. When we talked about the vacancies and how we're going to fill those as either on an interim basis or through consultants and extra work or tapping into any of those resources that already had experience in the finance department, we were fortunate. One of the other vacancies we had was in Dan's office with the deputy treasurer. And that position has been filled by Carrie Vitale, who moved into the finance office from the senior center. So it's not just vacancies, but it's also,
Yeah.
staff that's very familiar with, and Carrie she worked on the budget for the senior center year after year after year. But when we're approaching things from the other side of the aisle, so to speak, or the other side of the process, there's a learning curve, but she's doing great also, I believe. Very big. Yep. All right, if there's nothing else from your office, then we'll move into business by mayor and members. Do I have a motion?
I have a question for Heather.
Oh, Heather, fire away. Department head Heather.
Well, I know it's usually a good thing that we didn't have a primary, just because that's more work and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes that helps to work out some kinks or whatever. How are you guys feeling about the election? Yeah. Good. And are our machines okay? That whole discussion about. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot. Yeah, right. When I have a resource like that.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to consider business by mayor and members.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Starting to my left, anything this evening, Mr. Wright?
Virginia Avenue, East Main Street, are all these projects going along as per schedule?
So yes, East Main Street sidewalks are under construction. I think they're moving at a really nice clipped rate. Of course, anybody that's living with the construction probably thinks otherwise. Construction of Midgeon Avenue, the design work is being done. A lot of discussions about through the COG, the Council of Government, what portion of the LOTSIP money is going to be used for Midgeon Avenue reconstruction. So those conversations are going on, and I did receive some communication yesterday with an update of how much money was available. So I haven't met with the engineers yet to go over the details of those costs. But all around town, again, this construction season, a lot of road work. A tremendous amount of road work. Bow Road Bridge is completed. Our animal control facility finally passed inspection with the USDA. So now we're working towards final CO and moving furniture in so that we can start operations out of that. Of course, we will be doing a ribbon cutting, and we're working on appropriate acknowledgements, not the least of which is this board, because even after the referendum to set aside the funds to build this, we needed to, find additional funds to cover the actual cost. And this board was instrumental in helping us pass those budgets that afforded us that opportunity. So more news to come on that ribbon cutting and grand opening. Ms. Pesky, anything this evening?
While we're on the topic of audits, the talk of a forensic audit by the Board of Ed, where does that stand?
I don't know anything about it.
Hasn't that been in the paper? That they were asking for a forensic audit, the Board of Ed was asking for a forensic audit.
If they were asking, they certainly didn't contact my office about it.
Okay. Thought I had read that somewhere, but perhaps I'm incorrect.
Don't know. Yeah, certainly nothing has come to my office or to the finance office.
Maybe they were just discussing it and didn't decide to.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
sure. Absolutely. Ms. Iannacido.
Is there any update on Yankee Peddler on that building?
So October 3rd, Judge Pickard will be going through the building. He's going to do a physical inspection of the building. And the attorney's briefs were due the same, I believe the same week, the same date. So once that portion of this trial wraps up, then we wait for the judge's decision on it. But yeah, that's been a very long, slow process for us. Mr. Anderson.
Nothing else to add tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The only thing that I would add this evening, we're talking about our staffing levels in the finance department and what we're doing to mitigate the vacancies and help bring in some support. We also had a vacancy in our HR office. And I've been negotiating with a candidate who comes with a wealth of experience and knowledge. So I have my fingers crossed. We'll go through the background checks and hopefully by the next council meeting, I will be advancing a recommendation for filling that position as well. I think this is the problem we face when we reach a point where retirements for people that have worked here for dozens of years, and those newer positions where public service is so different from what they've been accustomed to, trying to make that transition or make all that work has been very difficult. I've shared all of my experiences and these workforce problems with fellow mayors and selectmen through our CCM contacts, and everybody that I speak with is experiencing the exact same thing. There is a decided lack of workforce out there. I don't know where they are. I don't know. We keep graduating students from schools. I'm not sure where they go to work. But we're doing the best that we can. And I think that what you'll also see is our pay scales are out of the market range as well. So with each one of these vacancies and an opportunity to fill them, there will need to be some adjustments that have to be made. So that's all that I have. I don't want to belabor this or keep you here any longer than you have to, unless there are any other questions or comments from the members. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Iannacido, seconded by Mr. Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.